everybody. So I promised a 6-month update on my diastasis recti surgery and the abdominoplasty and all of that and how I was feeling about it. The last time I talked to you, I had some questions and I had some expectations that I was realizing I kind of needed to not have. After you've had 10 children, and your body has been stretched out by 11-pound babies and polyhydramnios and things like that, it's a lot to expect your body to just pull that all back in. And so I do still have, here at the 6-month mark, I do still have that little bit of roundedness, and I'll show you pictures here in a bit. My plastic surgeon believes it is muscle laxity. She said I am the worst case she has ever worked on by far, and that I had very little muscle tone there. It was pretty well deteriorated. She was actually a little nervous about it staying, but when she checked me, she said she can feel the scar all the way down. What I am feeling as well that I thought was maybe potentially the diastasis opening back up is actually the little opening where my belly button is. If you close all of that off, you end up with a dead belly button. And she said, we could not put a belly button in there, and people just kind of feel like that looks a little weird. Now, I did have some questions going into, or actually one question in particular, that my husband had remembered her saying that there was the potential she could have done a vertical scar, but since we hadn't talked about that, she didn't do it. And he thought maybe it was because it could have gotten tighter. When I talked to her, or like the muscles could have been tighter. When I talked to her, she said it was actually, they could have taken more skin. And initially she thought maybe I needed more skin removed than what I had. I had about 2 pounds of skin taken off. But she said now seeing me at the 6-month mark, she says everything's back to a place where she doesn't believe I probably would have benefited from a vertical scar anyway. She says a lot of times people who have had extreme weight loss will need to have that vertical scar just to get things tighter, but I was okay. Really, my issue is the muscle laxity right around the belly button area. She said we could possibly at some point, if I wanted it, go in and do an incision just above the belly button and then try to sew some more of that together. She said with the way that my muscles are, there's a chance that that wouldn't do anything. I am still doing exercises with the tummy team. Not as faithful with them as I ought to be, but I do feel like that has helped to hold me together more. I walk better, I sit better, I'm more aware, and that is something after more than a decade of being all loosey-goosey and everything, out to the sides of my body, that I didn't really have any sort of support in my core, and so I've really had to retrain my brain to sit properly, to stand, to move, all of those things that you take for granted. And when you are not healthy in your core, you tend to slump and slouch and not move real well. I do find I still struggle to stand straight. And that is just muscle memory. That's just my brain telling me that this is how I've been for so long that I must still be that way. I have gotten used to what my body feels like and looks like this way with the excess skin and the bulge gone. But I will say that I still see myself as that person that I was for all those years with the rounded belly, and I do still tend to hide that, which I don't think is a bad thing. I'm never going to be somebody who is going to wear a really tight shirt or something like that. That wouldn't be what I would do anyway. This is more in my head, though, that I see myself still as, really out there and just big, and that I kind of have to shrink back and hide that. And that sometimes also contributes to my poor posture, because I find myself kind of going like this, trying to hide what's here, when really there's nothing there to hide other than that tiny bulge there. there are women who would see that bulge and they would be like, oh no, that's not good enough, or that would be a bulge that would send them to a plastic surgeon to get that fixed up. For me, between my before and after photos, which I'll show you here at the end, this is a huge, vast improvement, and my plastic surgeon said she didn't even know how I was walking around like that for so long. She was shocked at how bad my muscles were and the fascia and all of that. And again, that's just from my beautiful babies. I would not trade them for the world. Speaking of that, I am pretty thrilled actually that all my stretch marks are still there. It did not get rid of the stretch marks, folks. It just got rid of all the excess skin and then pulled all that back in together. And I do feel much better, and I can say now, 6 months post-op, that I am very glad I had the surgery. So if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. You can always reach me at amy@raisingarrows.net. I also have a page on the blog about diastasis. If you just Google Raising Arrows Diastasis Recti, you will find that page. I go through my entire journey from beginning to end. Basically, when I realized what I had as diastasis recti and all the things I tried, all the braces I tried, all the different programs I tried, and then my journey through this plastic surgery and where I am now, that is all on that page, and you can find that there. Again, I blog at raisingarrows.net, and I'm happy to answer any questions I can. I'm not a doctor, so I can really just tell you from my perspective. I'm also not a physical therapist, and I do think that it is highly recommended that you find a physical therapist, work with a physical therapist before and after, whether you choose surgery or not. I think it's extremely important that you learn how to walk and move and sit and all of that. And I think a physical therapist can help you with that. So again, leave your comments and questions down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And that is my 6-month post-op update.